Hey folks, welcome back to Get to Know Me here on my channel. This is a new playlist that I've decided to put together for you. So in this playlist, this is basically where you just, well, it's in the title, isn't it? You just get to know me. You get to know about myself, about my hobbies, my interests, my ambitions. So welcome to episode 2. This is where we're going to talk about one of my main hobby actually, which is plane spotting. Now, obviously, if you'd watched the introduction, you would have heard me talk about the fact that I have got an eyesight problem. I'm visually impaired. But, however, it doesn't stop me. And I will reveal exactly what happens on a typical day at the airport in just a moment. So, what made me start plane spotting, you're probably wondering. Well, basically, for those of you who are subscribers to my old channel, or you have subscribed to my own channel, you'll notice that the room that sorry, I can't get my words out. The room that all of my videos were filmed in were in a place called Ashwood, which was a hostel on the campus of my old college. Now, unfortunately, that meant during the day, while everyone else was at college, because I don't study there anymore, I had to leave the campus, and I wasn't allowed to return until 4 o'clock when college ended. So I needed something to do, just to kill time. I used to just ride around on trains, or I'd go home on a Monday. I'd go on a Friday and go home on a Monday, but sometimes I wanted to stay a couple of extra days. But obviously I needed something to do during the day. So I used to ride around on trains. Sometimes I'd go up to the airport just to see what was checking in, just to go over, have a little walk around the terminal, see if anything changed. And then I discovered the viewing area one day. I decided to have a walk round to the car park. And I discovered this open air viewing area right by the runway. And I thought to myself, I'm going to have to come here one day. So I did. The next day, I went and I just spent a few hours there watching the planes landing and taking off. And I thought, it'd be nice to actually note down what had been going in and out. So I did. I started. I bought a book. Actually, I haven't got the original book. I had a little notebook on me, and a felt tip pen. So I just took that along with me, and every time a plane landed or took off, I would write down what it was, what airline it was, what aircraft it was, what type it was. And I was really getting into this. So I decided to buy another book, a better book, so I could sort of log them more neatly and a bit more officially. It's like it's in a proper book. It's not just something that you've just scribbled down quickly. So that's why I bought this green book. And as you can see, there's a sticky label on the front. It says aircraft traffic. So what that means is when a plane lands or takes off, I'll write down the airline, the type of aircraft, and the model. So for instance, if we just flick open a random page, I want to make sure that, you see I haven't been to the airport very often. Let me just have a look through this a minute. I've got more than that. Oops. That one's a bit ripped, I won't show you that one. If I'll show you this one just for an example. Okay, so this is page 9, right? So you can see what I've done. I've drew sort of like a table in the book. So you've got the airline at the front, at the end. In the middle, you've got the manufacturer, and then at the other end, you've got the aircraft model. So, for instance, here, where it says TUI, It then says Boeing, and then it says 737-800. So that was the type of aircraft that was operated by TUI that day that I saw. A Boeing 737-800. Obviously underneath it you've got Flybe, the manufacturer was Embraer, and it was an ERJ 175. So I just started out by doing this, just writing down like different airlines, different manufacturers and different models. But then I was like, no, I need to get more advanced than that. Because one bloke said to me, I was up there one day, and this bloke said, have you seen GFBAW or something like that? I was like, hey, what's that? And when it's the reg of it's a business jet. It's the reg. I was like, oh no, I don't collect regs. And he was like, oh, you're not really a spotter then, are you? So I was like, oh right, okay then, right, let's get technical, shall we? So I bought a second book, Aircraft Registrations. Now obviously I had a problem because I can't see that well, so I couldn't write down the registration. So what I'll do is I'll take my camera with me and I'll take a picture of the aircraft, and then I'll zoom the picture in and read the registration, and then I'll note it down in the book. For instance, let's see, I'll tell you what, in the spirit of Monarch, we'll use Monarch, because Monarch had sadly gone into liquidation. They went into liquidation on the 6th of October last year, well, 3 or 4 days before I flew to Benidorm. It was a very sad time. So in the spirit of Monarch Airlines, look, we'll use Monarch as a demonstration. So at the top of the page, I'll just write down the airline, and then these are all the regs. So you've got, for instance, ZBAH, GOZBW. So all the Monarchs, and well, most of the European airlines do start with a G slash, and then obviously you've got the rest of the registration there. So as you can see, there's a fair few Monarchs there. That one down at the bottom there, G/ZBAV, that was a Boeing 737 that Monarch had only had for a few, couldn't have had it more than a month before they went into liquidation. So I'm very glad that I actually got to see that aircraft at Birmingham. So, on the topic of the registrations, I don't know if any of you guys have read this or you've heard of it or seen it. There was a magazine collection called Airliner World, which I decided to collect for a while. And in Airliner World, you usually get this, I think it's like the second issue of the year. You get this, so it's a UK and Ireland airline guide. And inside, I'll just show you. Let's use one that's I've been tracking. So we'll use the Flybe one, right? So you can see there. Sorry, I've got to come into shot. So there's Flybe, and it gives you all the different types of aircraft in the fleet, and it gives you the registrations. So as you can see there's a black mark next to that one, which means that I've actually seen that aircraft. So what I'll do is a plane would land, I'll take a picture of it, write down the reg, look it up in the book, and then when I find it I'll put a black mark next to it. So saying this side, I've seen an awful lot of Flybes. Look, there's a good old Embraer 195 there at the top. I believe that particular aircraft is registered. Oh, just a minute. I do know it. G/FBEL, I think. I think it's FBEL or FBEJ or something like that, I think. Pretty certain it's one of them. So you can see, obviously, these are all the Embraers down here. These are all the jets, and there's a few black marks there. There you can see I've tried to scribble the words travelled on next to JECO, I think. I can't see because it's in reverse, but where it says travelled on, there's a black mark and it says next to it travelled on. That means I've actually travelled on that exact aircraft. It's like with Jet 2. I don't think I've actually marked Jet 2 down yet. Oh, I have. I'll just use Jet 2 for an example. Look, so you can see there and there it says travelled on. There's a mark, JZHO, G/JZHO. Can you see the reg there? And then it gives you the model number. So obviously JZHO was the aircraft that I flew to Benidorm on last year, and then you can see underneath there where it says travelled on again, the reg for that one is G/JZHV, which is the aircraft we travelled home on. And that one there, GDFD, I'll put a black mark next to it for a very special reason, because I happen to have the model of it, which I'll quickly show you. I'll just get it for it. There we go. So here is a Jet 2 model. This is my Jet 2 holidays, and you can see the reg there, G/GDFD. So it's quite nice how there is actually a real aircraft out there with the registration on. And I've got a model aircraft as well with the same registration, so it adds a little bit more realism to the actual model. So you probably think that, wow, that certainly takes up a day, doesn't it, at the airport? But sometimes it doesn't, because there are spats throughout the day where the airport goes quiet. So kind of stuck for something to do then until an aircraft goes out or comes in. So Airliner will often give you these other sorts of magazines. So there's a Global Airlines Guide that came with one of them. I'll just quickly sort of flick through and show you. Unfortunately, though, there's no proper registrations in this. It's mostly model numbers, serial numbers, things like that. But there are some nice pictures of aircraft in these magazines. So there's one like that. There's one here about the new Bombardier C series that I got in an issue of Airliner World. I can't remember which one it was. So that was interesting just to have a flick through. And basically you've got all different ones. Look, you've got there's one there with the Airbus A380 on the front. You've got one there with a 737. You've got one with a new, demonstrating a new type of engine. So all those come in handy as well when the airport goes quiet. So we can just sit and have a little read. And I used to take a packed lunch with me, so I'd just sit and have my lunch then and have a relax. And if the weather was nice, I might have done a bit of sunbathing as well. So that's pretty much all I can show you. I'll quickly show you my binoculars, of course. Obviously, you want to have a good pair of binoculars from when you're plane spotting, because you want to be able to see what's up and about. You want to see what's on approach. And also when they taxi, because at Birmingham, I'm going off on a tangent here, but at Birmingham, if the active runway is runway 33, that's the end of the runway that the viewing lounge is on. So obviously the aircraft have to taxi down there to take off. So if it's a good day and they're taxiing that way, they're taking off that way, they'll come right past you, so it's always good to get a good, a good old view. You want to have a good old view as it passes by. So I bought these, they're Kodak, I believe, yeah. There you go, look. Kodak. They're not too bad, to be honest. They wasn't very pricey. I can't remember how long. I think they were about £7 or £8 from Argos. They weren't very expensive at all. But they do me, and they've got a good focus wheel on them. So, just stood there like that at the airport, just relaxing like that, and then like a plane will come in, so you'll be having a look, and then you jot it down, and yeah, I've really taken to that hobby. It's nice to actually do something like that, because obviously my eyesight does let me down for a lot of things, but the fact that I can overcome it, I can say, oh, it doesn't matter, I can use binoculars, I can use my camera. It lets me do like normal hobbies that other people would do, and you'd be surprised at actually how many plane spotters there are out there. On good days in the summer, it can be absolutely packed. You sometimes get school kids going up with the schools, going to see the planes for a little bit. You get sometimes you get families go up. It's a really lovely atmosphere up there, and obviously I'll get chatting to some of the spotters, and we exchange registrations sometimes. If I didn't quite catch a registration of a plane that landed or was taking off, I could ask one of them, excuse me, what was the reg of that, and they'll tell you, and I can jot it down. So it's a good little hobby to have, and obviously them days of Ashwood where I did have to be out on the streets until 4 o'clock, it really did help pass the time. And I am planning to continue with it. Obviously, now that different setting now, I'm not longer in Ashwood, I'm sort of in my own home now. So I don't really have to be out in the mornings, but now we're getting this nice weather coming back, I might actually pop up to the airport and see what's coming in, because I believe that the Emirates A380 is back, so I'll have to pop up and see her. So I hope that hasn't been too boring for you folks. Again, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, like I said in the first part. Just leave your question in the comments, I'll try my best to answer them all. And until the next one, take care of yourselves.